One of the most underrated treks in Nepal is Mardi Himal, and even we weren't sure if we wanted to do it. Well, let me show you why it's so underrated. But before I get into that, let me catch you up with where we've gone so far. Doing all right there, girl.
Yeah. Get up.
Welcome to Traveling with Eve. Right, Leo?
I'll let you know when it's gonna happen.
This guy. We had just finished up doing the Thorong La Pass, one of the highest altitude mountain passes that any of us had ever done before. But we still had some time left in Nepal, so we had some decisions to make. We still wanted to do another high altitude trek, but we weren't sure which trek we could have time for. And that's when Mardi Himal became an option for us. You see, coming down from the Thorong La Pass, you come to a town called Muktanath. And from Muktanath, you can catch a bus all the way down to Pokhara, all the way to Kathmandu. But for us, we wanted to keep our trek going. So we decided to hike all the way from the bottom of the Thorong La Pass all the way to Mardi Himal. Now, we had heard about Mardi Himal. We'd seen the stunning pictures of the Fishtail mountain, a mountain that no one is supposed to climb due to its religious significance. But there is one trek that you can do up to this Fishtail mountain, and that's the Mardi Himal trek. At just over 4,500 meters, the highest point of altitude you can get to on this trek, we knew we could do it because it was already 1,000 meters less than the Thorong La Pass that we just hiked. The only problem was we were tight on time. The Mardi Himal trek takes about 4 to 5 days, and we had to hike all the way from Muktanath to the bottom of Mardi Himal. So, without wasting too much time and having our first shower in weeks, we decided to head out. The trek wasn't exactly easy though. We had to descend all the way down and then trek back up to altitude. And on the pass, Eve had gotten quite sick. How alive are we feeling today?
Oh lordy.
What are we gonna do with her?
I have to tie her to a yak and bring her down.
I think we're gonna have to force her to just take a jeep somewhere.
Yeah.
But we had to keep going. We met, I'll say we met an interesting guy with not so interesting opinions on certain things. This is wild.
Oh man, this guy's too much.
Black people? Roxy?
Roxy, this one and this one. Planja?
I like Roxy too.
Huh?
I'm white.
Oh, yes. Good.
Roxy power. Roxy power.
We passed through a lot of stunningly beautiful, wild terrain that many people just pass by in buses. And we had a little fun riding in the back of some jeeps.
Hold on. Oh shit.
Namaste! But we tried to have fun. We tried to enjoy ourselves for this hike to get to the base of Mardi Himal, to get to that underrated trek. Well, we didn't know it was underrated yet, but what we were going to find out about it, that is what we were excited about. And on the way, we stopped in a place called Tatopani, named after its hot springs. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that Tatopani is the word for hot spring or hot water in Nepalese. If you speak Nepalese, please correct me in the comments, let me know if that's correct or not. But what we were told was that's what it meant. And in Tatopani, one of the most interesting things in our entire trip through Nepal, in my entire experience with Nepal, happened in Tatopani. But I'm going to save that for the end, because it doesn't have to do with Mardi Himal. So we went through Tatopani and we kept going. We went to many different towns along the way on our trek to get to the base of Mardi Himal. And at some point along the way, we caught up with Heather. Heather was a part of our group. Come in. And there she is. That was funny. I was just saying that we caught up with you and you just happened to walk in at that exact moment. How was Nepal? Did you make it all the way? Did you survive the Nepal
I survived. I didn't make the whole trek though.
How excited were you to rejoin our group before Mardi Himal?
Fucking stoked!
She was
Fucking
stoked. Okay, anyway. And at some point along the way, we caught up with Heather. She had been hanging out in Kathmandu, healing, getting better, recovering from her altitude sickness, and she had been ready to come back. She'd been waiting for many days to rejoin our group, and she finally did. So with our group reunited, we continued our trek. We made our way to Mardi Himal.
Cheese tomato sandwich. Chips chili. Chili. Buff snooky.
Chocolate spring roll. Banana spring roll. Whoa.
Chunky.
And along the way was some of the most beautiful landscapes we'd seen in our entire trek through Nepal. The greenery, the rice fields, everything seemed to come together to create this stunning landscape. And what else did we do, Evan? What was that town we were in before? Okay, quiet though, I'm starting to start again. And as we got closer and closer, we began to see the fishtail. We began to see it, and it was absolutely stunning. And we finally made it to the beginning of the trek. But we had an issue. We only had 4 days left to do it, so we had to rush through. Finally, we'd gotten to our camp the night before we were going to do the summit. It was almost 3,300 meters. And the next day, we planned to get to 4,500 meters. So in one day, we wanted to go almost 1,200 meters in altitude and then come all the way back down. It was a bit of a crazy plan, but we thought we could do it. We got up the next morning at 4 in the morning, ready to get up to the high point of our trek. Yeah, I know. Can't even see you guys. A scary panther. Oh, big boy. You can start to see the mountains. And at about 4:35 in the morning, we realized that we'd actually stayed in the wrong spot the night before. We didn't actually have to do as much of a hike as we did, but because it had been foggy the previous day, we didn't realize that we weren't actually at the high camp. We had just stayed at some little tea house along the way.
This sack of potatoes over here.
It's pretty cold this morning, I guess. How cold is it, Eve?
It's pretty cold.
But once we'd had a little tea, once we had a little food, we pushed on. We were going to do the pass today. And one of the reasons why we'd gotten up so early is because the later into the day it gets, the foggier and cloudier it becomes. And so we wanted to push on to make sure that we could see that fishtail, the famous fishtail, before the fog set in. And this is why I think it is one of the most underrated treks, because you have this almost 360 panoramic view of the entire valley around you, of everything all the way down to Pokhara. And just before the top of our trek, we stopped for a little bit of tea.
It's for you.
Do you have honey?
Yeah. This is only the sugar.
Or sugar?
Sugar's in there.
Oh, okay.
We made it.
Fuck yeah.
Mountains.
How you feeling, Eve?
I'm feeling good.
You ready to be done hiking and go to Pokhara?
Yes. This is beautiful. I'm happy right now.
Om Shanti.
Leo's trying to get in arguments with every Nepal person he meets.
That is an outrage!
Wait, do your Leo invitation.
That is an outrage!
No. No.
So what were you saying about the bed massage? Very nice.
Very nice.
Getting a free massage, Eve.
Free massage on Mardi viewpoint.
Unfortunately, by the time we'd gotten to the top, we were exhausted, we were wiped, and the fog had rolled in and covered the mountains. But the hike up, the trek up, has what made this whole thing worth it. Nice. And with us having completed our trek, this was our final trek in Nepal. I can share some stories now. Some stories that I couldn't tell, or stories that just didn't fit with the story I was trying to share. So if you're curious and you want to hear some more of these stories, I'm going to be sharing them on this channel. So tune in, subscribe, do whatever you have to do so that you can see them in the future. But I wanted to share a little update on everybody in this trek. Where was everybody now? What had happened? What were those interesting things I talked about, especially in Tatopani? Myself and Heather, we ended up traveling Southeast Asia together for another 4 or 5 months. Going to Thailand, going to Laos, going to Cambodia, to Indonesia. We had some incredible experiences. And after Nepal, Eve went traveling as well. She'd fallen in love with the Nepalese culture, with the Indian culture, and so she decided to go down south into India and to explore this whole new world and this whole new culture that she'd found herself connected to. And then there was Leo. Through the course of the trip, Leo had truly became such a special person in my life, such a special person in our group. What happened in Nepal with him is such a beautiful story. When we were in Tatopani, we had come across a girl, and we had both been so excited to meet each other and talk, because on our whole trip we hadn't really had a chance to talk to someone that was our own age. And so we had this wonderful opportunity where she took us through her village, through her town, through her home, and she showed us, what life was like there for her family. And she became a really good friend of ours very quickly. And a few weeks after we'd finished our trek, Leo had decided to go back and live with that family for a week or two, to spend some time with them, to help them out where they needed it, and learn as much as he could about the culture and the ways and how to live in Nepal. And something happened that I think you might already know. Well, Leo fell in love, and that someone turned into someone more important to him, and more important, until finally, and I hope he's okay with me sharing this, Leo got married in Nepal. I want to give a big thank you to all the people of Nepal, to everyone who's watched this, who's listened to the whole story from start to finish. Thank you very much. And thank you, Nepal, for allowing us to come through your country, to travel there, to spend time there, to learn about the culture, to learn about everything that you have to offer. Thank you. And I'll see you guys in the future.